Hello there, toy collectors. My name is Kevin, aka Toying Around, and I'm very excited to bring you this special review. How's it going, everyone? Happy Thursday. My name is Kevin, aka Toying Around. It is Asian Heritage Month, and while, normally I come on here and talk about toys and unbox things, I thought I would use this opportunity and the channel to have a conversation, a chat with some friends in the community who I think are doing really cool and interesting things, and bring that conversation to you, the viewers. So thank you so much for being here on this Wednesday night. If you're watching on Twitch or on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for being here. My guest tonight is, we're going to get right into it tonight. We're going to keep it a tight episode. My guest tonight is a Canadian Screen Award winning actor, multi-award winning actor, a toy collector, a friend of mine, Mr. Paul Sun-Hyung Lee.
We're not talking about toys tonight?
Oh, yeah. Get rid of that backdrop, Paul. It's all green screen anyway.
How you doing?
Oh, I'm great, man. Thank you so much for being here and doing this tonight, man.
Yeah, man.
Since we met, like we said, over toys, having gotten to know you, I think I've learned a lot through you. But just to see your journey from seeing you on TV and finding out you're a toy collector to all the cool stuff you've done since then, I'm just like, this is somebody I feel like has a lot of experience to kind of to talk about in Canada Asian Heritage Month, or AAPI. It's a longer one in the US. I forget all the groups included, but not right. To be, you're all welcome to enjoy this the show. Thank you for being here, Paul. You've you're. How do you feel if I let people know? Like, I feel like you're a Canadian, like an icon at this point.
Well,
it's is that too much?
I don't know about that, but
I feel like it is, because when everywhere that we go, people stop and they recognize you. And I've seen from every instance, it's like, whether it's from Kim's Convenience or from the Mandalorian, it's just like recognized and beloved everywhere we go. And I think that's I think that's like a really crazy thing, just to be like, I don't know, just to, people walk around and see you and they're like, oh, what are you doing here? And you're like, oh, I live here. I live in this city. It's just a really cool sight to see in the times that we go out, no matter how much we try to avoid it.
Right. Like that time we went and had lunch at Fairview.
It was a brilliant plan to
yes.
Get some privacy, but like everywhere you go,
well, yeah,
instantly recognizable, man.
I think a little bit more and more lately, but I mean, honestly, I think it's just because the stuff I've been doing, like work-wise, it sort of increased my exposure. I mean, definitely if you're on a Star Wars show, especially one of the more popular Star Wars shows, and that's people are going to recognize you, especially in your own hometown. And I think that's one of the big things too. It's like, we're at home in Toronto, right? So
yeah,
I'll be out and about more and more, and there aren't very many. I guess it's a lack of actors who live in town, who are just out and about doing their daily sort of things, right? So I think that's what catches people off guard when they go, what are you doing here? It's like, well, my family needs to eat, so we have to go shopping, and this is in our neighborhood. You live here? It's like the last 20 years. And so it's one of those things where when you go from just being, like I still am like a very proud East York, a resident of East York in Toronto. Mm-hmm. Love the community. I try to sort of, give back as much as I can, whether it be helping out East York General Hospital, or Michael Guerin, doing little shout outs here and there, and visiting local businesses and sort of pumping them up, from Royal Cuts Barbershop, where I get my beard trimmed, or going to Treehouse Collectibles and giving them a shout out on socials and stuff like that, or going to Off-World Bar or Stormcrow Manor and stuff like that. It is about just sort of spreading the things that I love, and trying to support the people that I support in the community that I'm a part of. But I think a lot of people as well, they expect me to be in Los Angeles or in the States and stuff like that, right? Just because the show is big. I'm not. The show is big. The show that I'm in is big. But it's really nice. It's very. I have to say, it's better than people coming up to me and saying you suck, right? So,
Like, sir, please put down the action figures. I got that first.
Can you leave, please, without a fuss? You know, so it's more and more. I think it's been I get recognized more and more, but it's still. I mean, it still makes me giggle a little bit, just because it's just me, right? So it's just like, and I always say to people, just say hi. I'm just a normal guy, right? So it's okay.
Yeah, I think that's the cool part. You're always super generous with your time. You stop to chat with everyone who comes towards us and take a photo. Yeah, you're just a regular guy with a lot of lightsabers. Just a regular General Grievous. I don't watch a lot of hockey, but the previous few weeks I was watching a bit on CBC. And before we're not going to talk about that part unless you want to.
Okay,
unless
sorry,
you want to
you're
get
gonna
into.
you're gonna go there, eh? This gotcha journalism. Let's talk about the Maple Leafs and their inability to progress in the playoffs.
I have no qualification to talk about any of that. I just learned what icing was like 5 years ago. So yeah, it's confusing. But
it's like the infield pop play. Infield fly rule. So.
Infield fly still confuses me, but not just an actor, sports fan for sure. But I've been watching hockey on the CBC, and they've been playing this commercial more and more, and it's your acceptance speech from the 2018 acceptance speech of yours. And I never really listened to it before because I'm like, it's just Paul. But since it's been playing over and over, the actual words, I've actually been paying attention. And I think what you were saying in there is really, really profound. It was, well, I mean, your delivery was a lot better, obviously, but you're saying that representation matters. When communities and people see themselves reflected on screen, it is an inspiring and powerful moment. It means they've moved from the margins into the forefront. And I thought all of that was really deep and moving. It gives them hope, and when you give people a voice, other people start listening. I mean, what a great speech for winning that award. You've talked about this a little bit before. Well, probably here on the channel when we did a 3-hour stream the first time, but about like
3 hours.
The first one was only 3. So sorry to break it to you tonight. Tonight will only be an hour, not 3. I know it's not what we're used to with our podcast, but that representation wasn't something that was like a huge thing. You didn't have that representation as a kid growing up, right? In terms of seeing people on film. You mentioned Ki Kwan, who's been winning all these awards lately, and seeing him win now, and you were watching him when you were younger. That was like one of the few instances of representation that you had on screen, right?
That's correct. Yeah. Like, finally I saw somebody who I wanted to be in the show, that I could be, type thing, just because it was like, oh my God, he looks like me, and he's about my age, and he's like Indiana Jones, and it's Data, and it's absolutely, because he was a cool character as well, right? So it wasn't Long Duck Dong from 16 Candles and stuff. So it was just something more to aspire, that I want to kind of aspire to. I mean, it's just more of that kind of representation when it's a positive sort of reflection of your people, because up until then, a lot of them had been like the Long Duck Dong character, very, very sort of caricaturesque, the comedy relief, the other somebody to be sort of laughed at, not laughed with, and whatnot. And so, it's just like when you're a kid in Alberta trying to fit in, the last thing you want to do is to be reminded that you look different or you look like the dude that everybody makes fun of. Ergo, it's okay to make fun of you, right?
Right.
And there's a certain amount of passivity there as well, where you're just sort of like, oh, you don't want to rock the boat, so you just kind of go and you eat a bunch of shit sandwiches, and you go, oh, that's great, yes, ooh, look at me, the Asian guy, ha ha ha, very rocky, and then you're force fed to act these certain ways, and it's hard, right? And everybody goes, well, you've always laughed at it. It's like, yeah, because I've always, like, I've never found it funny. You just sort of put up with it a little bit because, okay, everybody's doing it. But now I think that's the big change from now. What I like is the fact that, there's no more fear of reprisals for me anymore if I speak out against it. Because back then, if you said something about like, I don't like that, that makes me feel uncomfortable, right? It's not cool. So you run the risk of being ostracized. Like, oh, are you being too sensitive? Like
he's a troublemaker.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay. So, I mean, I think what's cool is people are more aware of it now, and there are ways of sort of bringing up the fact, hey, you know what? Kind of don't appreciate that joke. Like, I get it, I understand. You didn't mean anything from it, but I prefer if you didn't do that again. And I think that's cool. I think it's cool to do that, and not have people go, oh, like it's such a big deal, right? So, I think, on the one side, you have people go, oh my God, everybody's so sensitive and you're such a snowflake or this or that. It's like, no, I'm just advocating for you to be a bit more respectful. And I'm sorry you can't make those kinds of jokes at my expense.
Mm-hmm.
But when you make a joke that's based on something I cannot change, like my race, right? That's kind of, it's punching down type thing. And, if you know me, there are so many other things you can make fun about me, like my inability to use spreadsheets. Or my refusal to use spreadsheets and pre-order the same toy 5 or 6 dozen times. Like, that's fair game. But,
Oh, yeah, and I take full advantage of that.
Yeah, of course, right? So it's, those things are different. Right? Because they're more universal. But, like, when you start to sort of make fun of somebody's, their heritage, you're like, yeah, okay. I just don't think that's fair game anymore. And that's cool, because it's like, people grumping about, oh, I can't make fun of this no more. I can't make fun of that no more. I can't make fun of anything. It's like, no, you can. You just have to work harder now and maybe not be so cheap and go for the low hanging, easy, most obvious thing on the face of the planet. Because then really, is that making a joke, or is that just showing how lazy and stupid you are? Oops, sorry. It's stuff like that just kind of gets me going. I haven't even had anything to drink yet, anybody. So that's a thing. Sorry. Kevin got me going. Kevin's got me going. But
conversations, it's starting. Do we need the drink, or like it's better without?
Oh no, it's fine.
No, I'm kidding. No, it's absolutely true. And there's still moments where people are like, oh, you're being sensitive. I see that even in toy collecting, believe it or not, that God, yeah. Like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. I'm just saying this and that. It's like, yeah, it's not 20, 30 years ago. Like,
yeah,
you can look back and say, I don't know. Have you ever looked back and thought, "Whoa, how did I let that go?" Those are some really offensive comments that I've got in the past before. It's only until recent times where I'm just like, that probably wouldn't slide nowadays, right? Like it's just it's changed so much, and obviously for the better, based on just the speech that I mentioned from you. But then to get into acting, I know you moved here super young, but your parents, your family's from Korea. Was there like certain trajectory or profession that was there in mind for you? That was like,
yeah, I keep saying this. My parents are like, you could be 5 things, right?
Yeah.
Doctor, lawyer, engineer, teacher, or failure. You choose, right? That's the old joke.
So if it's 80% on a test, that's a Asian fail. That's an Asian fail right there.
That's a fail. It's like 80%? Did you not even try? Right? It's like, oh, I got 98. What happened to the 2%? It's like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, lazy. No, my parents were never like that. My parents weren't really like that. I mean, I think they were. They obviously the pressure was on to perform and succeed academically. And I think one of the biggest mistakes I ever made was winning an award in grade 8 for best top academic student, because the pressure was on after that. I got a trophy and everything, right? And so it made my parents very, very proud, very, very happy. But it really, like, they put the screws on me after that to, like, no, you now,
You raise
now.
the bar too
Oh
high,
yeah.
and then every year's got to be award winning academics at school.
Yeah.
That's yeah, that's a pretty familiar situation with a lot of people. When was it? When was the first acting gig where they're like, yes, this is it. Like this is the path
Oh,
for.
I never took an act. Like, that's the thing. Like, I fell into it ass backward. It was just something. It was. I honestly, I joined on a lark. Like, I auditioned for the UC drama program, the acting class, yeah, on a lark at U of T. I had no idea what I was getting into. We had done some sketches in high school for English presentation. Instead of writing essays, we got to do like these little sketches, and
Mhm.
really enjoyed doing that. And it was just like mugging around, right? It's just like, a really bad SNL sketch type stuff, right? And I thought, oh, it sounds like fun. Like U of T, yeah, that's pretty. It's got to be the same thing, right? So went in, and it was a big group audition. Had no idea what I was doing, what was going on. There were kids that had gone through all the drama programs, taken all the courses in the high school, or since they were in junior high, or since they were little kids, had been in all these plays. I had no idea what I was doing there. I show up, and there are people there was like a group of 40 kids all in the basement of UC University College, and yeah, a bunch of them, like, they were all stretching, they had the shoes and socks off, bare feet. I was like, what the fuck is this? Well, oh, okay. So it's like, when in Rome, it's like, take off my shoes and start stretching, doing the soccer stretches, thinking, I don't know why we're stretching.
Soccer stretches.
Yeah, it's like, all right, those are the only stretches I knew, right? So it's like, okay, okay, and we go, and then we proceeded to, we played theater games basically, or do
Mhm.
theater exercises. And, like, if you've never done those before and you don't know why you're doing these exercises or what they're for, it's just a bunch of crazy stuff, right? You're just making noise and moving around. It's like, oh my God, this is people getting, you go to university for this? This is what drama is? This is like all, it seemed all very, like, voodoo-esque, you know?
Voodoo.
Yeah, this ooga booga stuff where you're like, oh, what is this? And it felt really like I didn't belong. Like, I felt even more like an outsider. And as the day went on, the more frustrated and disjointed I got, and I really started to feel really embarrassed, because I felt like, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't belong. I thought everybody was laughing at me, and I was just, like, really mad. And by the end, it was just like we had this one final group exercise where we all had to stand in a circle, and we were each given the same line to perform, and our task was to walk into the center of the circle, say this line, and then
Oh
leave
wow.
leave the circle, right? And so, like, the line was, "What a terrible, miserable, rotten day." And I remember getting that, going, "Oh, I got this one." And, people going in, and they got their whole, like, "Oh, what a terrible, miserable, rotten day," and people got their old, and I just stormed right in, and I looked the instructor straight in the eyes, and with as much vitriol as I could summon, I just said the line straight to him, "What a terrible, miserable, rotten day." And I spat on the ground, and I left. And I thought, well, that's it, right? I'm not gonna get this part. I'm not gonna get into the program. Big deal. I got in. I got into the program. So,
Because of the
you know,
spitting.
well, no, I think it's just because it was just such an honest moment. And
Right.
that's what I learned. What I've been learning lately is, it's good acting performance is rooted in truth and authenticity. These real moments, not these manufactured moments where you're like, that's when you get melodrama. That's when you get people who are overly earnest, or overplaying these roles. Or you can see it when somebody's like, if it's a bad acting, you kind of, I don't believe in them at all. I don't believe that they're angry or upset or happy
Right.
or whatever. And in that moment, I just was, right. And so I guess the instructor thought I had a modicum of something to work with. And it didn't help. It didn't hurt that I was the only Asian kid in a room full of white kids,
Oh,
too, to be honest. And it's one of those things where it's like, hey, Operation Bootstrap, welcome aboard, sir. Right? It's just one of those things where there's there might be a diversity quotient that had to be fulfilled because you can't have, an entire program just filled with the Swedish all-star kids, right? Like it's just one of these things where they had to have a little bit of diversity.
right.
Um, but like I always say too, like, to a lot of people go, oh, I was just a token Asian. I was just a token this or that. Doesn't matter how you got in. It's what you do when you're there,
Yep.
right? What do you do when you're there? Do you learn? Do you grow? Do you become more than what you were? And do you continue on with that growth, right? And so, you know, don't sell yourself short. Don't cut yourself off at the knees. Don't hold yourself back or get in your own way because you think, well, I shouldn't even have been here. It's like it doesn't matter. You're there now. What are you going to do with it? Because if you fail, then you're just really you're justifying every single reason people want to keep you out, right? Or you're just giving credence to any of that side talk where they go, well, they don't belong here. They didn't earn this. They're only here because of a diversity hire or inclusivity hire or whatever, right? It's like then you're just justifying all that. So your job is then to just excel. And it's incumbent on anybody who gets into like, and it's shitty because it should be equal for everybody.
Hmm.
But the reality is it's still not. The parity isn't there. And you're always going to get somebody who's always going to be like, well, they took my spot or I should have been there, not them. It's like, well, that's not going to change. You're not here. I'm here. And while I'm here, I'm going to make the most of it. Right. So it's about taking advantage of those opportunities. And that's really what I think diversity hires us. But it's about creating equal opportunity for people who wouldn't have it beforehand. Right.
Right.
But it's not a means to an end. It doesn't mean, okay, you got a free pass now and you can do
Oh,
whatever
absolutely
you
not.
want. Like you've
No.
you've got it made. No, you've got to justify and you got to work. And that's sucks, but that's part of it. It's part of anything that you do, right?
Yeah.
Is having to succeed. So
If anything, you have to like work even harder in that
yeah,
position. Like not like just like you said, you have the opportunity. What are you gonna do with it? Well, I'm not just gonna kick back. I'm gonna show everybody that like, you know, I can do this role or do this job, whatever, maybe if it's acting or any other job that's like that, and you're like, I'm gonna kick ass here so that there's still opportunities for other people. Because if you don't do it, somebody else is gonna come for that spot.
hmm
Right? So you have to not just do, like, just the status quo, you just have to even take it up to the next level.
well, that
Um,
and it's always going to be the case
yeah.
when you're the only person of color in that. Like it was for Kim's convenience. For myself, it was a whole. I'd never been a number one on a call sheet before, and I was going to make sure like that I was going to be the hardest working person, in that cast on that set. That no one was ever going to have to wait for me. That I was always going to be prepared. That I was always going to be ready to go, and we had to succeed. I had to succeed, and
Mhm.
I wasn't going to be the reason why I failed. It wasn't because of a lack of preparation or intent or any of that. Like if the show didn't do well, it wasn't because I had left something off the table. You put it all out there and you go, and it was hard, but you know, heavy lays the crown sometimes, right? And so it's just like that's part of the gig is when you have so few opportunities to succeed, but you have even less opportunities to fail. And that's one of the biggest takeaways, especially if you're a person of color, that you have less opportunities to fail,
Mhm.
right? So that's why it's tough and it sucks. But for now, it's kind of like you kind of have to be excellent so you can
Yeah.
continue to work.
It's, we're watching Blue Jays. If somebody gets injured in baseball and you get called up, you gotta be ready to play, and when
Yeah.
you're in there, you wanna earn your time because if you don't do well there, whatever reason is that got you to that spot to begin with, it's like there's somebody else uh, on the bench waiting to come in. So you
Yeah.
go out there on the field and you dive after every ball, you hustle down the line every play, and you just make sure that you've done your part. If you're not like the headliner, the starting player, right?
Right.
Totally makes sense. What was it? What were you in? What program were you in before trying out that one group audition there?
Oh, I was going to go. Actually, I was going to take fine arts. I was going to take an art course and do an English specialist.
Oh
So
wow.
I wanted to be a writer to begin with. Actually, I got into Carleton University in the journalism department, journalism program. Sorry, but my girlfriend at the time was going to U of T, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to U of T. I'm not going to go to Ottawa. I'm going to go to U of T. And what do they? What does U of T have? They didn't have a journalism program. So the next best thing was, okay, well, I'll write. I want to be a writer. I'll write stories. I'll write whatever. And yeah, and I'll draw because I was, a fairly decent artist. So
Oh,
yeah,
I haven't
that's something
seen
people don't know about me. I draw.
I
I
haven't
can
seen
draw.
any hints of that recently.
Yeah. Well,
We're
there you
gonna
go.
that's interesting. I just want to shout out real quick. John Takis became a channel member. Thank you so much. Ree became a channel member. We're gonna, if you have any questions, try to highlight them and leave them at the end uh, of the stream here when we're done. Paul, you mentioned Kim's and if previous roles, if there's any chance where you're like the like you mentioned, even if it was like the token Asian guy on the show or whatever, to go from to go into a role where, like you said, number one on the call sheet, and the role is to be as Asian as you can be, like almost, you're speaking Korean on screen. You're, I think you mentioned before, it's like, you knew this character of Appa,
Yeah.
uh, from the play and then to TV. It's like, what was that feeling to be like this role is like, you know, to have that kind of role where you're just fully embracing it and diving into it.
Well, it's just it was one of these sort of as an actor, these are the kind of roles you crave, right? Because it's like this person, this character, and they're so much fun to play. And there was a double-edged thing, not a double-edged, but like the added benefit of it was the fact that what made it even more special was I'd never seen that kind of a representation of somebody who was intrinsically my father, my uncles, my grandfather, all these stubborn Korean men that I grew up with. I'd never ever seen such an honest, sort of authentic portrayal of this character who was so much fun to sort of play. And so yeah, like that for me was just like, oh my God, this is tremendous. And the fact that he was a character that I knew I could play in terms of just giving it that emotional truth was exhilarating. It's the whole idea of like, oh my god, I could do such justice to this part, and I could have so much fun doing it. Right? That for me was the excitement behind it. Right? Because it's a nice juicy role, and it was something that I knew that I could play, and that I knew that would be, at the same time it so different from who I am in terms of flexing those acting muscles as well, right? And to be able
Right.
to show range. That those are the things. Those are those meaty parts that I think all the actors really really crave for.
Yeah, and then, you have this opportunity where it's like you said, that this playground for you to play in where it's you can draw from your, like you said, your father, your uncle, relatives like that. It comes from like having Korean and other Asians like working on the show, right? Just to make it more authentic and just having, I don't know, like having the opportunity to make that into a TV show. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that, that you're able to have that and for people to see it, that like they're gonna put this on TV
yeah,
and everywhere, that like for everyone to see on screen. Like that's got to be huge.
yeah. Well, to be honest, too, like, really, it was just like this was going to be a TV gig. Like we were thinking we're gonna get employed. It wasn't about, oh my God, we're gonna be representing this family. We're gonna be doing. It's like, oh my
Right.
God, we've got a TV job. We got a whole season of TV, and you talk about like job security because this was a play
Right.
beforehand, and we've been touring across the country. But I mean, to be honest, I wasn't getting paid a ton of money to do the tour, and in fact, I went into debt doing the play, right? Because it wasn't steady enough that I could get other work to supplement it. So whatever bankroll I did make during Kim's, and I wasn't making a ton of money. I mean, Soul Pepper made a lot of money off of that show. The actors did not.
Mhm.
Um, And so because there'd be times where we'd have like weeks off, and it's like not enough time to get a gig, and so it's like meanwhile still got to pay the mortgage, still got to pay for groceries, still got to pay for your room and lodging when you're on the road and stuff like that. So yeah, it was just we were just really happy. It was like, oh my god, we got a TV gig and we got some money coming in finally.
Mhm.
Um, and it's a funny thing because it wasn't until we were on the road with Kim's that Ince Choi, who is the playwright, and he played Jung during the tour. He said, "Hey, do you realize this is the first ever Asian Canadian play that's ever toured across Canada?"
Oh, wow.
And we're like, "Wow, really?" It's like, "Yeah." And we weren't even thinking about that, right? We didn't think like that's the thing. He didn't set out to do this is going to be the quintessential Asian Canadian play that is going to be eventually taught at in schools, or studied, and it's going to be like the sort of the benchmark for diversity in this country, and a part of Canadian theater history, and become one of the most beloved sitcoms that this country has produced. Nobody sets off to do that, right?
No.
You just want to make a good show and get paid for it and
Yep.
build your career. Like, honestly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Anybody who starts off, no, it's going to be this, and this. Great, you can aspire to that, but like the chances of you actually getting there are pretty slim. Otherwise, it would have been done several times over, right? So it's really hard. And so we were all just more concerned about getting paid and doing good work. And it becomes that, when I was working at Theater Pass Mariah as a young actor, we were doing this play called 1837, The Farmers Revolt. And it was one of these shows that is studied in university. It was one of those the collective experiences where the actors got together, they worked on building this show about the Farmers Revolt in Southern Ontario, way back then. And it had like a stars list of Canadian iconic actors at the time, right? And like we got a chance as young actors to talk to them about their experiences. None of them at the time set off and knew that this play was going to be studied,
Right.
that this whole collective idea was this. They were all just like us. So they said, we're just like you. We were young actors who wanted to work. And the show became that, right? And so like there's that perspective as well. And so for Kim's Convenience, I mean, once the show took off, um, it became more, and I think we adjusted as a cast and as a company to kind of go, okay, this is starting to become bigger than what we are, and so we need to step up and really sort of embrace these roles. And I like to think that we did. And so now, yeah, I just forgot. I had a friend reach out to me. He said, "Yeah, my friend's a high school teacher, and they're studying Kim's Convenience,
Oh, wow.
in their class." I'm like, that's nuts for me, to be a part of that, to be a part of Canadian theater history. I would have died when I was just starting off and sucking so hard. It was terrible. I was terrible. I wouldn't have believed you if they said, one day you're gonna help create a character in a play that's gonna be so popular and so well done that you're gonna people, they're gonna study it. You're gonna be a part of this. And it's just, I don't know. It's crazy.
Not only that, but now you're at a level where you can carry on a full conversation using GIFs of yourself without having to
Yeah.
use actual words in a conversation. That's the level of, greatness that it's achieved. That
Yeah.
again, nobody would have set out for that in the beginning,
No,
but
right? And
that's a
that's the
byproduct
thing
of it.
with the gifts too. I mean, like I didn't I think people think I made those gifts. I didn't. That was Pigeon Row, the social media, they ran the socials for Kim's Convenience, and they had over the course of 5 seasons all these gifts that were made up, and it was just like that's the genius of the people over there who put them together. It's like they had. I remember us going in for 2 sessions, and we recorded all these gifts, and then the rest they just pulled from episodes,
Yeah.
and
Do
they
people
just.
think you made them?
I think people do. I think people do, and it's like, no, I don't sit there and I cut and paste. I don't. I have no idea. Because like then I'd be using like I'd be making gifts from like other shows too, like from the Mandalorian, right, or from Book of Boba Fett, right.
Hmm.
So and then like when Avatar eventually comes out in the next 20 years, be able to make gifts from that, right. So, but no, I don't. These are just all readily available on uh, on the internet, and so I just do a search, and there it is.
I'm just kidding. I'm one of those people who thought you made them because there was like a 2-week period in one of our group chats where it was just, and I'm like, how is he pulling such appropriate gifts that he has to be manufacturing them? There's no way
Yeah,
there's one for every occasion.
they're all
Um,
just do a search.
oh man. So you go from that, and now you're on the Mandalorian, as everyone knows, and obviously it's so cool to see you on there, man. Like, and it's cool. Like, is there a point where it's just like, oh, it's nice to have to go, not to go to a role where it's like Asian guy this, Asian guy that. You can just like, it's just this character. You're a space uh policeman or anything like that. It's we're in that age now, would you say, where, you just go apply or sorry, audition and look for things like that that we're not just, kind of limited to?
Yeah, I don't know if we've gotten quite there yet. I think where we're at, I mean, I didn't have to audition for this role, first of all, for Carson
Right.
Teva. It was offered to me. But I think there is now more of a sense, and especially in American casting, of okay, let's broaden this search so it doesn't necessarily have to default to a Caucasian at performer playing this role,
Mhm.
right? I think we're being better towards that. I mean, it is still skewed towards okay, well, let's have some diversity here. And I know to the chagrin of many non like to many like Caucasian performers, like I get that frustration. It's like, well, I'm not going to get this part now, it's being diverse, so it's not going to be me. And to which I just have to say, well, the first 20 years of my career, that's exactly what it was. Um, I would never even be considered for roles because of the color of my skin, and it
Right.
sucks. It sucks, but there's got to be the pendulum swung one way, swung the other, and then it'll settle eventually to the middle where it's gonna be that egalitarianism where it's just like it's fair and equal and it's open season and everybody best actor for the role type thing. So I get that frustration. I hear the same arguments, but it's just like that's kind of the way it is right now. We're trying not to, like try to get it equal, but I mean, it is one of those things where the advantage has been on the one side for so long, you can't
Mhm.
complain when it's on the other side now, right? It's just like there is going to be an equalization at some point, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to feel the frustration that another side like that builds empathy, right?
Right.
And I get it. And hey, look, bitter Asian dude, because I was never really, I was never, wasn't even allowed to audition for parts, right? That's the thing. Like being considered for a part, and like, oh, I'm auditioning, and there are a bunch of other people in the room, and I don't think I'm going to get it because of the color of my skin. Well, guess what? I never even got to audition against people with different colored skin. Every time I went in when I was starting off, it was all Asians in that room, all Asians, all
Mhm.
these dudes. So, you kind of go, okay, well, that's all I'm going to get to audition for, and they're not great parts either. So, like that's the thing, and it is about opportunity. So,
I think,
um,
yeah, that's crazy, but I think that ties into, like, the representation quote that, from your speech, and, moving out from the margins, right, into the forefront. Now, you've been on that show, Kim's, you've been on, The Mandalorian, everything that's going for you, and again, everywhere we go, you're recognized. When we were at Offworld, there was a booth of students. Were they students next to us?
yeah,
Who were also Korean, and, I think you mentioned to me, you're like, "Oh, it's so cool, like, they're in the same, uh, program that I was in university," except when, you just told the story, you were the only Asian kid, uh, auditioning, and then now there's a whole party of them next to us
yeah,
in the same program, like, right next to you all these years later, like,
yeah,
that that's that pendulum you're talking about
yeah.
swinging the whole different way. I thought that was a really cool moment, and then, of course, one of your children, one of your boys, is into acting now too, following in your footsteps.
Yeah, the fool. I love him. but I think he's an idiot.
Well,
Hard life, son. It's a hard no.
he's a young kid.
I'm never gonna stifle his what he wants to do, and it's not like my parents tried to actively block me either. I mean,
Mhm.
it was just like a bit of a disapproval, which is what I'm giving my boy. But I mean, for my parents, they just never saw any. There were never any examples of success stories,
Right.
and they were really, really worried. And as immigrant parents who sacrificed everything to give their children better opportunities, and to see their kids try to pick something that is very difficult and that there were no real success stories in really sort of made them question, well, why did we do this? Why did we do this? Because we could have been comfortable and he could have thrown his life away just as easily in Korea, right? I'm a parent, I get it. Like I'm a parent now, and I'm like, yeah, I get it. But here's the thing, for him, um, he's got the benefit because I can support him in a way my parents never could, because I have an intimate knowledge of the industry
Right.
in which he wants to become a part of. He's also like, you call him a nepo baby, right? Because I have connections, and I've used them to help him on a couple of occasions to get like some work, basically, right? Like his final year of and now I don't just go out there and go, well, I'm just going to do this for my son because I love him. This was for me. It's like, no, dude, you're not gonna ride my coattails. You're gonna have to earn this like I did. I will support you in other ways. Like,
Right.
I understand what you're going through. I'm not, like giving him advice and
Advice.
stuff like that. But I mean, this in his final year of high school, he had to get a co-op placement in theater arts, if with an arts institute, and he went and he pounded the pavement and he applied to dozens of places. And just coming out of the pandemic, a lot of companies were like, nope, can't help you. Or they wouldn't reply, or they're, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, no, no, no. And so he got turned down for all of them. And this was like a course requirement. And so he was like
Damn.
losing his mind because it was like, oh my God, like I'm not going to be able to get this quote. Like, what can I do? So luckily I knew somebody at Soul Pepper Theater Company. I just said, hey, look, can you help out in any way? It doesn't have to be anything but this. And I explained to them, they're like, yeah, I think we can help. And that was great. And I wouldn't have been able to wouldn't have had that opportunity. So like you step in when there's nothing else and you see the effort was there, and it's like, okay, I'm in a position where I can help you, right?
Right.
But it's not like everything gets handed to him. I said I set it up, and I said this is the thing. You got to go in for that meeting. You got to chat, and and then you got to do the work, because if you fuck this up, you know that's my name too, right?
Right. There's always
So
that.
but he's been great, and he's loved it, and he's made some great connections. He's learned a lot there, which has been really wonderful. And yeah, no, it's just there's one of those things where um he gets an advantage that I never had,
Right.
right? And but one of my fears is he doesn't remember how hard it was for me at the beginning when he was a baby, right? Like he's old enough now and he sees, oh, it's Kim's Convenience and Star Wars, and people want their picture with him, and everybody loves him, and it's like he can turn down roles and like this and that. He doesn't remember me like dragging him in a baby stroller and asking complete strangers to look after my baby son while I go into the room for like 30 seconds to
Oh,
to
wow.
audition for a part. He doesn't remember any of that stuff. He doesn't remember having to stay at his grandparents in Coburg for 2 days, going to daycare, which costs a fortune, for
Mhm.
2 days, to have a neighbor look after him for 2 days, and my wife take off work for a couple of days while I rehearsed a play. He doesn't remember us doing scrambling just to get childcare. So, those are the things that I want him to sort of be aware of. It's a hard life wanting to be a performer, right? Having to constantly be rejected, go out and audition. He's gone through the whole audition process himself to get into secondary school programs, right? Like he auditioned for George Brown, TMU, and all these places. And it's like he didn't get into the place that he wanted to initially. And I said, hey, that's the business, man. You're not going to
Mhm.
book every gig you audition for. You're gonna have to. That's this job is like it's like baseball, right? It's like you're gonna fail 9 times out of 10, but that one gig, That's a success,
Yeah.
right?
Batting
Baseball's just,
100.
yeah, baseball's a little bit better. It's like, you're going to fail 70% of the time and you're going to be considered a success, right? So,
Yeah.
um, those are the things that I just try to uh, impart on him. But, he's 19, he knows everything already. I don't know nothing. So,
We can't get away from the sports analogies, can we?
no, no, they're just so easy.
Because when you were talking, I'm like, it's like those kids who, around the 2016, 2019 era of Raptors, it's like, oh, the
Right.
Raptors are in the playoffs every year. They're the best team ever. You don't remember the years before that. It was
Yeah.
bad. Like it wasn't always this good.
Yeah.
And then now we're back in that time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's the thing that I kind of wanted to touch on from your experience. Like, and I think you went into that, the earlier kind of trials and difficulties that you had now to seeing, like your son in the program and those other students we came across. It's just like, how does that make you feel for the outlook of roles and the industry
Yeah.
and
No,
and
it's
even your role in kind of being somebody that certain people would look up to for that?
gives me hope. I mean, that's the thing. Made me so happy to see a couple of Asian kids, a couple of Korean Canadian kids in the same program that I graduated. Well, didn't I finished? Didn't graduate. Finished. But it's and that's awesome. I think that's like, oh my god, like that would have been unheard of, that ratio of Asian kids
Yeah.
in there. And I'd like to think that the more Asian parents see the success stories, see the viability of the children securing employment. It's like, how many doctors are there? How many engineers are there? It's harder to become those things now than it is to become an actor and be successful in a sense, right? So it's like, yeah, by all means, go if you and there. I think being an artist or having artistic tendencies is something that is grossly underappreciated. And I think more and more, especially in Western civilization, we're starting to embrace the role of the artist a little bit more, um, or give it more credence than it had been before. Because if you look at one of the leading industries in North America, it is in entertainment,
Right.
right? You look at the explosion of YouTube, TikTok, social media, all these things. It is You can become sort of internet famous at the drop of a hat, right, or the click of a button. And so there's that sort of idea of, well, it isn't as far fetched as it used to seem. Um, Now on social media, right? It's a lot of people who don't have training, who just sort of hit upon something,
Mhm.
um, that really sort of sparks uh, the imaginations of millions of people that they can connect to. I think a lot of these videos that go viral strike a chord because there's a core of honesty or recognition or shared humor in it that people, oh yeah, and they can share, right? And then they go, oh, this is funny, and I want to share this with you. Share
Mhm.
this, and that's when it goes viral. But the person who dropped it, I guarantee you, well, if they're trying to construct something that's going to go viral, the chances of it actually happening are far less than if they just tap into something almost by accident that just connects with people. And you can see the ones that are staged, you can see the ones that are calculated, and you go, "Oh, that was good." But you can tell it just feels not
Yeah, set
quite.
up.
Yeah, it's like, "Oh yeah, yeah. That's staged." I think is a word for it.
It's
It's
not
been
it's not
staged.
organic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like those, what do they call that? Those videos now where somebody goes up to a homeless person and says, "Hey man, I'm so hungry. Can I do you have any money?" And the homeless
Yeah.
guy goes, "Oh yeah, here's like a buck." He goes, "Oh man, thank you so much. I didn't need that, but you're so good. Here's like $100,000." And you see the guy cry, and you're like, "Well, fuck." Like it's
Yes.
like, what do you like? I get it. Like at first, that used to be a big like, "Oh my god, that's so touching." But now it's just like, it just seems like there's a term for it. I can't remember what it is, but it's like, dudes, man, that's like virtue signaling or whatever you want to call it. It's just like, it
Yeah.
just seems so manufactured.
I'm guilty of watching a few of those too. It's like, "Why did you help me today?" "Oh, thanks. Here's
Yeah.
some money." And it's like, "Oh, yeah," you get that feeling, that warm, fuzzy feeling for a few seconds, and it's like, "This is all you do?"
Yeah.
But, I get it. It gets the views.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few more
Cloud
minutes if
chasing. That's a good one.
cloud chasing, yeah, Dom. You never know, you just need to be, inspired by something, like 1,200 days of not getting your toy. If anyone has any
I still say that cape was on Inside Out.
How dare you? No, if anyone has any questions, I highlighted a few throughout. I was trying to not I was trying to stay in the conversation, but trying to see what else. If you have any questions now, please feel free to type some into into the chat here on Twitch or on YouTube. Um, yeah, honestly, I don't know why. When we ran into those people and you told me like, yeah, they're in the same program as me, like that moment really stood out for me. That I'm like, oh, like it's just seeing how everything's changed and progressed. I thought that was a real authentic, organic moment. It wasn't staged or anything like that at all.
Right.
Um, but man, Paul, like I said, we collect a lot of the same stuff, and it's cool toy hunting with you. But just your outlook on things, and how you handle and as a public figure, you're an awesome dude, and I wanted to have this chat with you, and hopefully more people see this and they're just like I'm gonna go for maybe not the traditional roles or careers that might be um faded for us from our past. uh while some of the questions come up, let me see, let me load some of these right here. We have the John Take Us new membership, thank you. um Brian Blessed Fury Fletcher, thank you. That's a new name in the chat. Says, who's one person on set? I think it was a Star Wars question that you just clicked with.
For Star Wars. Oh, that's interesting. Brendan Wayne, like off right off the bat, like he's got such a fun vibe, like an energy to him. It's just I like Brendan a lot. He's really loose, doesn't take himself too seriously, but he's a consummate professional as well.
Mhm.
It's hard to act underneath all that armor and
Yeah, for
stuff,
the
and to have the
non-Star
helmet.
Wars
Oh
hardcore
yeah,
people,
sorry.
he's the physical actor in the Mandalorian suit for the Mandalorian. And you're right, I've seen his Instagram. He's like in armor, he's laying on the ground in like a seductive pose, just like just chilling. So
Yeah,
I totally get what you're saying
yeah.
when you and also you had a stream with Tate Fletcher,
Kate
and you
Fletcher,
guys had a
yeah.
great conversation. He's the physical actor for Paz Vizsla from The Mandalorian also.
Yeah, just really sweet people. Katie Sackhoff, amazing. Katie O'Brien is tremendous. Emily Swallow, who I never got a chance to work with, but got a chance to meet, incredible. Misty Rosas, who plays Queel, is the physical performer in Queel, the Frog Lady, the sniveling barkeep. Is just like her heart. Oh my god, she's just such a talented woman. Chris Bartlett, who plays all the protocol droids basically on the
Right.
screen, and bounty hunters and whatnot. Um, he's just such a nerd and Star Wars fiend and such a wonderful human being too. There's Dawn, Pan Riddle. These are other character actors. Um, Pretty much, everybody on the set is really, really, they love being there and being in that universe, and they really, really do bring so much to each of to each scene. And that's another wonderful thing, is the fact that they are so generous as well. They all want you to do well, and so the support is there. So acting with everybody there is tremendous. And then, don't forget about the directors. And so working with Peter Ramsey was incredible. Carl Weathers, good Lord, that man is incredible. I loved just working with him in chat. Like, he scared the shit out of me at the very beginning. But, once you earn his respect and his trust, he's like, oh, it's so cool. Just, sharing a drink with Carl Weathers and like hearing him talk about the craft of directing and acting and all that he's
Mhm.
done. That's just like, Peyton Reed, fantastic. Bryce Dallas Howard, right? Just working with all these people. It's like, yeah, they're great. Now for Kim's, if you want to talk about clicking with people too, like Andrea Bang is just like boom, boom, boom. Never met her before. And I remember the first time I met her, it was during the chemistry reads, and she was one of like 5 or 6 performers who'd been called in to read for the part of Janet. and they were all excellent. They were all excellent. But like with Andrea, something just we were doing a scene, and she said a line a certain way, and she knew it was just like I got mad. I got mad at her in character, and it was just like, and then we just went. It was just like, holy shit, that was incredible, right? Like that was like another level.
Right.
Same thing with Andrew Fung. It was another like clickety click barber trick moment where it was just like again he got called in. There were four other dudes who were reading for Kimchi, and they were all excellent too. But he went. They all were sort of playing it one way, and he went across the grain and just really shook it up. And it was just and they worked. Like
That's awesome.
his choices made sense. They worked. They were funny. And then it was just like I remember going after him afterwards and saying, where are you from? Like, who are you, man? Like, wow. And then to find out he came from Calgary,
Right.
right? That he was a Ghostbusters fan
Oh
as
boy.
well, like on so many different levels. He also had two kids, two boys, right? And we found other things too, where it was just like he actually ended up he worked at my second cousin's fish and chips restaurant, the
Oh.
same franchise that I worked from. So we had this whole like, oh my god, like he knew my aunts and uncles. So
Oh
that
my
that was
gosh.
another like mind blowing moment. So we didn't find that out until like a couple of years after we knew each other. So it's very
Shout
funny.
outs to Andrew, and if you haven't yet, go watch Run the Burbs on
Yes.
CBC Gem. If you're in the US, Run the Burbs season 1 is on the CW, coming up on the CW. It's gonna be
Yep.
available in the US, so I don't have to tell people to get a VPN and do shady things on the internet.
No.
It's going to be a legitimate way to watch it.
You're not
And
saying to do that. You're not
yes, of
saying get a
course.
free VPN. You're not saying Google
Well,
it.
you can't watch that much with a free one, there's a limit. But I'm definitely saying to not do that, of course. Um, and it's awesome you mentioned Andrea because I've said to you before, like, watching, your scenes with her on Kim's, I'll be laughing 1 second and honestly close to on the brink of tears the next
Yeah.
second, just the conversations and the chemistry, it was so real that I don't know. And then the next second, Appa will say something crazy, and I'll start laughing my ass off. Like it was a roller
Yeah.
coaster. I really loved your scenes with her.
It's a
So
great
that's
1-2 punch.
yeah,
And I love that too. Like shows that make you cry and then laugh. Immediately it's just that those swings, they're great. It's really, really great. And I'm like shows like Ted Lasso season one were a lot like that, where it's just like you're crying and then you're laughing. So it's like I really do love those types of comedies.
Um, let's see the next one. It's Cat Chin is here. What's up, Cat? Says our little show that could.
Catching. I still got those Microsoft Squadron
Oh,
Gallery
come on.
ships.
Bad Wolf. What's up, Bad Wolf? Says Paul making me tear up was not on my bingo
Aw,
card for tonight, and yet
thanks,
here we
buddy.
are. Are you making people cry again?
I always do somehow.
Yeah. Well, why am I surprised? I just said your scenes in Kim's made me cry. Also, Alexander Eagleson, thank you for the gifted membership to here on the channel to Carrie Fanti. Congratulations. Thank you, Alexander, for your support.
Nice.
Kirby Kai is here, says, is there any Canadian actor from the past or present you wish to share the stage/screen with?
Oh yeah. I mean, the aforementioned people that I talked about before. You know who's great to work with? That I work with anytime. Amanda Brugel. She's almost like my spirit animal in that sense. She's nuts. I love her to death. She's so funny, so smart. It's fun to verbally spar with her when we're on set. We're like brother and sister, sort of always sniping at each other, which is great. Like wonderful energy there. Rodrigo Stahl, who played uh, uh, Enrique.
Oh my gosh.
He is so funny. Ben Boschman as well. Michael Musi, Okosua. Like, yeah, pretty much
Mhm.
anybody on Kim's, I would play. Like, let's rock and roll. Um, and then yeah, if you expand it, like, I got a chance to do this hour has 22 minutes in Halifax, and like Mark Critch. Wow, man's a genius, right? Meredith McNeil is great. Is wonderful. Love to work with her. So many, just really smart, talented funny Canadians that I would absolutely be honored to work with.
The question wasn't directed at me, but I would choose Kiefer Sutherland on a new season of 24, and I wouldn't mind playing the token Asian tech guy who has,
Man in the chair,
smart smart, witty comments.
guy in the chair.
Yeah, guy in the chair for sure.
You want to be guy in the chair?
For sure. One last one real quick, Paul. Dream role. Carrie Fancy says, dream role, either existing or original. I mean, you're in a Star Wars. You're in multiple
Yeah,
Star Wars.
that's
Good Lord.
that's yeah. I mean, how much more? How much more can a man, ask for in that sense?
You
But
dreamt
that
it.
being said,
You
Star
dreamt it
Wars
and it
or
happened.
Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Star Wars or Ghostbusters.
heck yeah. I mean, there's that. They just posted that new picture of you in Mando behind the scenes in the X-Wing,
Yeah,
the
right. What a
cockpit.
great
And that's
picture.
so cool. And that's you, man.
Yeah, I know.
That's
That's
so
that's
awesome.
surreal. Like that's the thing. That's this gig. It's just so. It's like showing up to play every day,
Mhm.
and then to them to have them like you don't really like that they're taking these behind the scenes photos that you're doing all this stuff. It's incredible. It
Mhm.
really is incredible. And I forgot, that it's such a great picture, right? And for them to use it's like when they came up with my character poster, that was just like such a wonderful surprise, completely unexpected, right? And that's a really cool shot of the X-wing, and that's us in the volume, right? Like that's how
Yeah.
much fun it is because that's a projected image of the friggin' it's the planet where the covert sect is hiding,
Right.
and Carson Teva, he's looking for them. So
With your inside man, the R5D4.
there you go.
Alexander says, "Thanks for having this live chat, Paul and Kevin. I always love to hear you guys talk. Hearing about your experiences and behind the scenes events is fascinating." Chris says, "Paul, you were a fantastic host presenter at the Canadian Screen Awards
Oh,
on the Youth Animation Day.
thank you, Chris.
Very cool." Kirby Kai says, "This is the last one." Kirby Kai says, "Who is Randy's favorite Star Wars character and why?" From Training 48.
That's a deep cut. Randy Coe from Train 48. He was more of a Star Trek nerd, though, but I think Randy probably would have gone with Han Solo.
Do you remember I sent you that screenshot where Randy wasn't he holding a Boba Fett action figure?
Yes. Yes.
I don't remember the context. Was it a
That was an
Comic-Con episode?
apology gift from his friend Zach, if I remember correctly, because Zach screwed him over in
Mm.
one way, and he bought him this Boba Fett action figure as a way of saying sorry. And then Randy proceeded to shit all over the Boba Fett action figure. It's like, oh look, it's got these like, oh, it only has like 16 points of articulation. What do you think you're gonna wow me over that? Like I remember doing that, like getting everybody to laugh about that because people were like, oh my god, we love this whole points of articulation thing. We'd never heard of it before.
Yeah,
And then I
and
was,
you were just being
like,
yourself?
just being a nerd. Just being a nerd.
They're like, "Wow, Paul, how did you come up with that stuff? All the hate for Boba Fett." Did you read that? Like, saw it online. No,
Yeah.
dude, this has been an absolute pleasure,
Oh, you're
Paul.
cutting it off?
Yeah, you wanna keep going?
We can keep going.
Okay.
Baseball game's still going.
Is it? What's the score?
It's 0-0. It's in the
Good
10th.
to know that you have it on in the background.
I don't. No, I don't. Not at all. I don't. Hey, look, it's getting hot. I gotta take off this. We had to turn the heat on because it got
It was
so
cold today.
Yeah, it was cold. So we had to turn the heat on, and now it's like an oven in here. So I actually do need to remove this. So give me a
Oh
second
my
to
god.
just take off this headset and
Alright,
take
I'll
off my
look for
shirt.
a few more questions.
Yeah.
This is the part
So
of the show where, we strip apparently,
I'm
and oh,
hot.
you
It's
heard
hot.
me.
It's hot. Okay, well, I'll just take off my pants then.
I've seen this movie before.
Yeah.
That's
Oh
that's
my,
what they all say.
it's so hot. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Is it unseasonably warm today?
Don't be a
Uh,
pervert.
all right. Who is not at all surprised that Paul clicked with and all? I think that's really cool. And if you ask people like who would you click with on set, like I'm sure somebody out there
All right.
had to have picked Paul because from the stories that I hear, like on set you're nice to everybody. You take the time to learn everyone's names from, all the different roles, whether it be like the main actor or just anyone working on the set that you're just a nice guy on set. So that would probably be, who clicked with Paul. I'm sure that's an answer that a lot of people out there would give. Let's see. Well, what have you got going on, Paul? You do the live stream on your YouTube channel. I'll
Yeah.
let you plug that. But is there anything else going on people can see you in at the moment?
Yeah. There's a show called Jane on Apple TV. It's a kids show, actually. This is a show for young adults, which is paired with the Jane Goodall Institute. And Jane Goodall, she's an animal conservationist, most famously known for working with chimpanzees in her study of primates and simians. Anyways, they've partnered with Sinking Ship Productions. Sinking Ship Productions is a Toronto-based company that's previous hits were like Dino Dan, Odd Squad, really great children's programming that sort of teach kids secretly. So like they're teaching you math basically by like sort of tricky ways. And anyways, it's really, really great programming. JJ Johnson, he's the head of Sinking Ship basically. Um, Quality programming for kids. My kids grew up watching these shows. And so this show is about a girl who's like 12 years old, named Jane. She has a stuffy that comes to life, a la Calvin and Hobbes.
Nice.
And when the stuffy comes alive, it's animated. And we learn about global issues that surround the extinction or like problems with animals, basically. So it's about animal conservationism, environmentalism, and they show them on a global scale and shrink it down into a local scale to show that how we as individuals can contribute to helping the situation out. It is a show that's based on giving people hope for the future by making these little changes in our lives. Anyways, it's streaming on Apple TV right now. I think the first 10 episodes are up. There's at least
Nice.
another 10 that are in there. I play a character on the show called Mr. Jin, so you can watch that right now. Of course, Mandalorian season 3 is up on Disney Plus. Book of Boba Fett, I'm in one episode of that as well. That's up on Disney Plus. And I think the next big thing coming out is Avatar: The Last Airbender, which is the live action version of it. They're still working on the VFX. I have no idea when they're going to complete it. I've heard as early as this fall. I have heard as late as next year. So that's all I know about it right now. But it's good to hear that they're not rushing it, right? They
Mhm.
are making sure that it's got to look perfect. It's got to be perfect. So that's good. I think that's a good sign that they're taking their time with it and they're really making sure that it is as good as they can get it.
Right.
Um, yeah, and in the meantime, you can find me on YouTube. I've got a channel called Bitter Asian Dude Inc., where I do Fun Boxing Sundays is the main show. Sunday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, where I unbox a geeky collectible. I do a half-ass review and we chat. And there's a great drinking game, and people make fun of me, and I struggle with batteries and putting together these things. I've got these really weird glasses that make my eyes look funny that people seem to love. And sometimes, not always, but sometimes I get a little tipsy. And yeah, so we just, have a good time on the Sunday. It's a great way to sort of wind down the end of the week and prep for the week ahead. It's all about supporting each other. It's all about uplifting this community and just like hanging out. It's kind of like the vibe of hanging out in your mom's basement back in the day,
Mhm.
and just having a good time.
That's awesome. Yeah, the thing with Avatar, it's like it's just beloved, like a huge fan base, and there's probably
Yeah,
like really high expectations of it,
yeah,
given the movie, uh, the previous movie live action was
sucked.
not okay. Well,
It sucked. It sucked. Like, it's okay. I mean, they didn't want it to suck. They didn't start. Hey, let's make the suckiest movie of all time.
right.
They didn't start off that way. It just sort of happened. Like a lot of things. Making movies are hard. Making TV is hard. Like I get that, but still, right? Sometimes you can't polish a turd. And I think part of the problem, one of the issues, I mean, and that's why there's so much expectation on this show, is the fact that
Right.
the previous iteration of it, which had such high hopes, failed so miserably. Now everybody is afraid. Oh my god, they're gonna do it again. They're gonna do it again. Oh my god, please don't do it again. And it's like, yeah, it's cool. I think it's completely different sort of different creative team, different studio. Um, it's a miniseries, not like like it's a TV series, not a 2 hour movie where they have to cram like 10 hours worth of 8 hours worth of content into like an hour and a half. Right? There's
And
room for
character
to breathe.
development.
Yeah, character development. There's like, you know, I don't know, just better casting too in terms of being sensitive culturally to the way the characters look in the
Mhm.
animated series versus whitewashing these characters. And so yeah, it's just all these things where so much care has been put into it, and I think the show was a show made by fans for the fans, if that
Right.
makes sense. So
Yeah, sounds promising and excited to see that one. Let's see. People are saying Topless Teva, season 3.
this is fuckers.
Season 3 ripped Iroh under there.
No, no, that's what CGI is. All I'm gonna do is wear a green shirt and they can put the muscles in, right? Like if they can create a live action Zeb, they can
Right
create
right
abs
next to you.
on. Yes, that's exactly it, right? Like they'll put on a muscle suit and then they'll just CGI everything else. I just want to point out this shirt here too. See it? Anybody read Arabesh? Huh? Huh?
No, you're a mightier nerd than I am. What does it say?
No, this is it's so funny. I got the shirt on Mando season 3 from the props department, and it actually says the Resistor, and that was that episode
Oh, yes.
where they went. That was the droid bar, the Resistor. Anyways, so this was. It took me, it took me until that episode to realize what the Resistor was. It's like, oh, it's the bar. That's I've been wearing this shirt for like months, and finally I realized, oh, it's the bar, and it's a bar. It's a
The
bar.
droid bar.
So yeah, I thought it was neat.
Well, looks like you've got and also don't forget the behind the scenes that they showed for Mando season 3 should be on Disney Plus, I believe June 28th,
Yes.
which they posted with the picture of you behind the scenes. Hopefully there's more. I don't know, do you remember goofing off in front of the camera doing stuff like that we might see on there, or just we will have to wait and see. It was a while ago, right?
Yeah. Again, that was we shot that in November of 2021.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was a while ago. So that's when I say, "Oh, I forgot." It's like, yeah, I literally forgot that they had a camera strapped to the side of the cockpit, and like we were doing that, on the volume with the screen going. So
Yeah,
yeah, what are
I'm
you gonna
excited to see that one, man.
do? I think the
Uh,
Jays just won.
is that the cheering in
Oh,
the background?
oh, oh!
What?
Danny Jansen with the 3-run bomb in the 10th inning, bottom of the 10th with one out. We walked off the Yankees. Suck it,
Danny Jansen
Yankees.
is so clutch.
There you go.
He
He
comes
is.
up with some big hits.
They needed this win. They've been
Yeah.
sucking hard lately.
Oh my goodness. Johnny, thank you so much for the super chat. You guys can hear that sound, right?
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Did we just combine sound bites?
We did.
Oh, nobody would have known if I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, Johnny, thank you so much for the super chat. Says seeing examples from Kim's has helped me when my mom is being OG Chinese ma. We're just seeing things from different perspectives, and I've been able to communicate better with her. Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, that's when those kinds of messages really they speak to me. Hearing that families watch a show together, really, I mean, I love hearing that because Kim's really is a sort of an intergenerational show where there's something for everybody.
Mhm.
And it's that show where you want to, after seeing it, you kind of go, oh, I get it now. I understand where my parents were coming from, or with parents going, oh, I get where my kids are coming from, right? And it's just I think it's one of those shows where after you finish watching the play, at least too, like after you finish watching the play, you're kind of like, I need to call somebody. I need to call my mom, my dad. I need to call my kids. We need to
Yeah.
figure this out, right? Just sort of chat, and that's art at its finest.
Yeah.
When you make people feel stuff, and then they act on those feelings to either repair things or who knows, get into a bigger fight. But it's just when you spur people to action because you affect them emotionally, I think it's great. So
Yeah. And the beauty of that, it's like you don't have to be like a Korean family to relate to it. You don't have to be an Asian family to relate to Kim's.
Yeah.
It's just an immigrant family. You know, the intergenerational differences, right? From how different we are from another place to how we grew up here in Canada, North America. That like it's relatable to bigger groups,
Yeah.
but it just happens it's a Korean family that we see up there on the screen. But like it, you know, I'm sure you've had people come up to you from every background
Oh yeah.
to kind
100%.
of mention that to you, right?
Yeah, and they go, this is I'm not Korean, but this was my father and I. He wanted me to like I had this guy come up and says, "I'm from Brazil." And Appa, that's my dad and me, and him trying to get me to take over his garage or take over the family business, right? I had an elderly British woman come up to me and say, after the play, saying, "You reminded me of my father during the war. We ran a small shop." And he used to, and it was just like so connected. And it was one of those things like you're talking about before, where we were just so specifically Korean Canadian that it became universal,
Mhm.
right? But I think the truth is, again, the relationships. You can see the dynamics. The culture might be different, but the relationships remain the same between parents and children, siblings with each other, mother and father. And it's just like it's incredible that if you're being authentic and honest, to have that connection and people will recognize that, and that's universal. I think, just 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 having family, right? It's
Yeah.
stuff like that is recognizable. You kind of go, oh yeah, this is something my dad would do. He's not Korean, but he'd do that, right? Or oh, I had that fight with my mom. Yep, I
Yeah.
understand that. I understand that fight because that's the dynamic between parents and children and vice versa.
Now that I've learned that you were in the program for writing and art, right? And then Janet on the show wanted to get into photography.
Mhm.
Were you seeing like did you I'm sure you saw the parallels there
I
when
don't
you were
understand what you're talking about.
like the
No, I
the
know. I'm
kid
just
who's in the arts.
yes. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
100%.
And you drew upon that.
100%. I mean, the thing is, it's not like Appa didn't want her to be in photography because he thought photography was dumb. He's
Mhm.
like, "No, yeah, you can be a photographer in your spare time. It's a great hobby,
Right.
but you can't make a living being a photographer, right?" That's his thing. That's the way he
Yeah.
thinks.
He still
That's the way
supported her
parents think. It's
with
like
photography.
that's a hobby. You can't make money at it, right?
Mhm.
Because elderly, like you get set in your ways. Like back in my day, people didn't take pictures for money. They gave
Yeah,
them away, right?
that
Like it's
wasn't a
stuff like that.
profession.
Yeah, like I had an onion tied to my belt,
Oh
which was
boy.
the style of the time. And then I had to take the monorail all the way back to the vending
Oh
machine
no.
at the beginning. I put in 4 coins. Sorry. Um, and so sorry, so
Dude, all I'm thinking of right now is you going, "Hello, Mr. Guggenheim?"
yes. But
It's one of
it's
the
it
best.
it's that thing. It's the whole dynamic is really it's parents wanting the children not to suffer or to choose a profession where they can be prosperous and not worry about money, right? Because that's the thing. You don't want your children to struggle. And
Right.
so your job as a parent, in a sense, is to like equip them so they don't struggle, to make them give them the choices or volunteer them to do this because that'll make your life easier in the long run. And you might hate it, but it doesn't matter because you'll be comfortable.
Right. Get 'em set up.
Yeah, work is for
Yeah.
work. Work is to live. And then outside of work, that's when that's when you can enjoy your hard work. But, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I agree. Kuya Kicks, what's up, man? This is Francisco. We've
Yeah, I
been
know.
to just making
I know
sure
that.
screen names and whatnot. He says, as a member of my organization's BIPOC committee, do you have any educational slash inspirational movie or book recommendations that we can share with staff?
Do you, Kevin? You must have a ton.
I don't know. I don't read. Everything
He
is
said
comic book.
movies as well.
Oh, movies? Education? No, I watch stupid movies. I only watch like Hong Kong comic like Stephen Chow movies
They're not
and
stupid. You take that back.
no, those are those are movies that, you know what, that's a different take. We'll get back to Francisco's questions in a second. It's funny, I had this conversation with my wife. It's like
Mhm.
when I came here from Hong Kong, I was never like, I don't see anybody that doesn't look like me on screen. I was
Right.
watching movies from Hong Kong that my parents brought over.
Mhm.
So, you know, I had a very different experience,
Right.
which my wife and I are always finding out the differences as it goes along. It's a funny conversation. But yeah, I was watching Stephen Chow movies and Hong Kong triad movies, which probably weren't appropriate for. But hey, do you have any inspirational or educational recommendations?
Oh God.
The
That's
Kim's play.
yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? It's like Kim's Convenience, the play written by Ince Choi, House of Anansi Press. Um, yeah, no, I mean, geez, like, are you talking nonfiction or are you talking fiction? Biopic movies? Are you talking about just good? I mean, if you're talking family dynamics too, like honestly, Everything Everywhere All at Once was just one of those off the cuff sort of like, what the hell kind of movies is this? But like the core of it was a relationship between the mother and the rest of her family,
Hmm.
right? And how she was the through line that kind of held them all together through all these sort of crazy situations. And it was just something so beautiful between the relationship between Michelle Yeoh's character and her daughter, Stephanie. Uh, not That's not her daughter's. The actress
Joy.
name is Joy.
The character is Joy,
Yeah, but
and
the
Stephanie
actor's
is
name is Stephanie
the actress.
Sue.
Yeah,
Sue. How do you
I
pronounce
think
it?
so.
Yeah. Those two are brilliant together. And of course, Ki Kwan in it's amazing. But really at the core of it is a relationship between mother and daughter. That's why she goes through all this, right? Like you can just tell that relationship is fractured. It's barely hanging on by a thread. Um, and it really is. If you look at you want to something that's inspirational or that is brilliantly observed about the dynamic between Asian parents and their children, that's a great example of it, I think. And it's done in a very entertaining way, very humorous way, but that shit made me cry.
Yeah,
That whole thing just made me cry. And so there's some amidst all the absurdity, there's just such real raw emotion between the two of them, and it just rings so true, and that's what makes it so heartbreaking and just so satisfying too.
yeah.
So there's that. Uh, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. Um, Things that have inspired me. I really liked Rice Boy Sleeps. That film, um, especially the third act of it, was something that really, for me, struck a chord. The first two, they're really well done, but it's a narrative that I'd heard before, I'd seen before many times. It's really well done, but I'm glad the third act sort of went off in another direction. Really, that's Anthony Shin. That's his film. He directed it, wrote it. Some really, really fine performances in it as well. And again, that third act made the whole movie for me in terms of a lived experience, in terms of a narrative that we haven't seen before in these deeply personal movies, which is great. Um,
I still need to watch that one.
yeah, that's all I can think of right now off the top of my head. I'll just keep going. But that's a great question, Francisco. Um, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. Uh, John says the arts are so important. Visual, audio, written, doesn't matter what form it takes, as long as it starts a dialogue between people and leaves an impression that hopefully leads to understanding. Totally agree. Speaking of the arts, Paul is up for the governor. I keep trying not to say the Surgeon General, the Governor General's Performing Arts Award. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's huge. And yeah, that's coming up. I know they made an announcement on socials, but it's coming up soon, I think.
Yeah, end of May. So May 26th and 27th, I'm going to be heading up to Ottawa, and they've got, like I said, 2-day event. where I get a medallion, and yeah, I get feted by the Governor General. So
When you said medallion, I'm just picturing the throne room scene, and then
yes,
there's gonna be a Wookiee there next to you going.
I am the Wookiee.
Oh my goodness. Mike, thank you so much for the gifted membership to Micro Galaxy Squadron. Congratulations, Mike. Thank you so much for your support. You're awesome. And Mike and I had a I think we'll end it. Actually, wait. Big Dog Pound 1. Thank you for your super chat as well.
Hello there.
Says great stream, Paul, and toying around. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is one thing that I wanted to chat with you before we go. Mike and I had this conversation the other day. Is kimbap just big sushi?
What?
Is kimbap just a big sushi? We had a debate, and he's like, no, that like it's very different. And to me, as an outsider, being neither Korean nor Japanese, I'm like,
Mhm.
80% of the ingredients look the same, and it just rolled in
Yeah,
the
well,
same way.
sushi, the sushi, if you know, when you have the nigiri or whatever in it and it's rolled up, it's a very simple thing. But like Korean kimbap has way more ingredients in it, right? That's why it's bigger. So you have like you can have the sliced carrots, you can have the
Yes.
daikon in it, you can have egg, you can have beef, you can have fish, you can have all those things. So it's basically more of a meal instead of just like fish, rice, and seaweed, right?
Mhm.
And so it is that, and you know, it's Korean, so it's better.
It is good with
Yeah.
bulgogi beef.
Bulgogi. Yeah, you can actually have bulgogi inside
Yes.
the kimbap, right? And there's all
But for
different kinds. You can have seafood in there. You can have, yeah, man, it's all super dope.
but for me, it's like if it's so large that, I need to take multiple bites, once that first bite goes in, if you don't shove the whole piece in your mouth like an animal,
I
you take that bite, it's just structurally
Okay,
not
I
sound.
don't know what kind of kimbap you're eating, but it should be like bite size. It shouldn't be like a hamburger size thing, right? That's just like, come on, don't be an amateur. It's got to be a nice tight roll where you can. It should be like maybe not as thin as some of the sushi rolls that you get,
Mhm.
but it's a good one where you should be able. It should be bite size. You can pop the whole thing in your mouth and just chew it like a duck. Don't tell me how to eat
He eats
kimbap.
more like a duck. Oh, that's another thing, food. Like, you avoided bringing Asian foods to school as a kid. Now, like, my kids have sushi program that you can
Right?
get, even though it's a cucumber roll, and I think that's the biggest waste of a roll in the world.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's still more generally accepted,
Hey, it's
and
like when Miles would order Subway and they go, "What kind of toppings do you want on your plain chicken Subway sandwich?" And he would go, "Nothing." It's like, "What?" It's like, "No toppings? Well, maybe a little bit of lettuce and a little bit of mayo, and that's it." And I'm like, "Dudes, man, they're making so much money off of you. You're not even it's not
true.
even real chicken. It's like 30% real chicken in there, and you're just having bread on top of it." So yeah, it's a
Well,
waste.
s- on that note, I one time ordered a sub, and then my friend Jack next to me ordered a vegetarian sub, and all the time I'm like, "Dude, you're getting ripped off." He's like, "How?" I'm like, "Everything that you're ordering on your vegetarian sub is what I'm getting for free as toppings on my regular sub." So, you got to see where the scam is. Mike, thank you so much for the super chat, my friend.
Smooth like butter.
He says, "Preach, Paul." I didn't mean for it to be a Korean soundbite, but he says,
So
hashtag
racist.
kimbap, kimbap for life. I mean, I like it. I've been eating it like every week the last month and a half or so. I found a restaurant near me.
Nice.
So happy to try new foods. Paul, I don't think there's any questions left. Oh, John Taker says ketchup, so we're gonna
No.
no ketchup.
No.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Do we need
No.
a food chat next time?
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. I
We'll
think that'd be a lot of fun.
we'll try some different foods next time. We still have to go get some Korean fried chicken. That's one of my favorites. But hey, you have are you streaming this Sunday?
I think so. I think I am. We couldn't stream last Sunday because we were at a baseball tournament. We didn't do well in the tournament. We only won one game, but the game that we did win, Miles was the starting pitcher, pitched 4 innings. We had a no hitter going into the fourth, gave up 3 wins, but shut down the other team. Gave up 3 runs, not wins. Gave up 3 runs, but we still held. And yeah, 5th inning was just like he went into the 5th. Couldn't, they just caught up to him by that point, but we had a reliever come in and shut it down. But it was a great way to end the tournament, and he actually won Player of the Game, so it was
Hell
great.
yeah.
And he
Congrats,
actually,
Miles.
yeah, and he dedicated it to his mom because that's what the little jerk does is show me up. So it's like, hey, Mom, I won Player of the Game. This is for you. Dad, what did you get for Mom?
It was Mother's Day, wasn't it?
I got her a horsey. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. It's kind of how I felt.
Nay. Yes, so Bitter Asian Dude Inc. here on YouTube. It's linked in the video description down below. Make sure you check out Paul with his 1v. It's not 1-on-1, it's 1v the chat. So if anything, he's infinitely outnumbered, especially when Anna, his wife, is in the chat. There, he loses all any chance that he has is out the window, but he'll be there. Opening toys, answering questions, chatting with you in the chat. So please make sure to check that out if you haven't already. Again, it's, for me here on the channel, we usually talk about toys, but I wanted to add a little bit more having this platform. It's my little corner of the internet, so I just want to try to do a little something different this month for Asian Heritage Month. Tomorrow night, Unboxing Thursdays is back with the very talented comic book artist Mike Del Mundo. Next week, the guys from the Worst Asian podcast on Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern as well.
Oh, nice.
And then May 31st, I will have a pre-recorded episode of Hunting Around with Filipino-Canadian voice actor Eric Bauza, who does Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Marvin the Martian Manhunter. I'm pretty sure that's wrong. Marvin the Martian. And a lot of awesome voices. We did some toy hunting at the local Heroes World comic book shop, so I'm going to work on that. So please feel free to check that out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. And leave a thumbs up. If you're watching it on the replay, I appreciate you. Nobody more than Paul. Paul, you've been so generous with your time tonight and sharing your stories with us. You made some people cry. And again, that's the power of art and storytelling to kind of move people. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thanks again for having me. What can I say? You asked? Yeah, for sure. I also like to put on record that this is probably the shortest video that's on this channel for the last little bit. Usually the average videos run, 2-3 hours. 3 hours.
3 hours on average.
So look at that. Half the time.
Yeah, and if we can figure it out, maybe the return of Boba Squadron next Monday, we'll check it out. Boba Squadron is a podcast that we do with Ernie and Yoko. We talk about Star Wars shows and collecting and things like that. So again, lots of fun stuff here on the channel. Until the next stream, chat, thank you so much. Paul, thank you as well. Congrats to the Blue Jays, everyone. Have yourselves a great night and keep toying around. Peace.
Bye.
Why isn't this playing?
I don't know. You're a professional YouTuber.
Where's my credits? Wait, it's showing on YouTube. There we go. There it is.
Can't help you.
When you mentioned chimpanzees earlier, I was like, I hate every ape I see.
From chimpanzee to chimpanzee, and you'll never make a monkey out of me. Oh my God, I was wrong. It was Earth all along. Well, you finally made a monkey. Yes, we finally made a monkey.
We doing it? Yes, you finally made a monkey out of me. Why are we doing?
I love you, Dr. Zaius.